golden lessons in this book. Trust me, they will do you good. So today we're going to be looking at the walls of Babylon. What does this represent when we talk about money, when we talk about finances? What has this got to do with money? All right. So it happened that in this chapter, the walls of Babylon were besieged by the enemies, and the enemies decided to attack Babylon when the king of Babylon was away somewhere else in the east, together with the best of the armies of Babylon. So the few men that were available to protect the walls of Babylon were too few for the task. They were spearmen, just because when the king was traveling with the best of the armies of Babylon, nobody had expected that the city would be besieged. Nevertheless, these few spearmen that were protecting the walls of Babylon did their best to make sure that Babylon was not conquered by the enemy. But there was this old man, a warrior named Old Banzar. He was the one that was ensuring and monitoring things to see how, the war was going, and he was able to give feedback to the people inside Babylon, because the people were really, really frightened. They were so afraid that Babylon was going to be attacked and Babylon was going to be conquered. It was a crucial point of attack. So people were eagerly seeking news. What is going on? They wanted to know. They were all frightened, right? And one elderly man approached Banzal to say, what is going on? Tell me. Are you sure that they are not going to get in? My sons are away with the king in a faraway land. My wife is at home. We are going to have nothing to eat. We're not going to have food. These enemies are going to attack us. They're going to go away with the foods and everything that I have in my store. And I am too old to become a slave. Should they conquer us, we are going to starve. We are going to die. Tell me. Hope they are not going to get in. And what did old Banzar tell this man? He said, don't worry, calm yourself down, right? The walls of Babylon are strong, very strong. The enemies cannot get in. So go back and tell your wife that the walls will protect you and all of your possessions as safely as they protect the rich treasures of the king, right? And go quickly so that the arrows that the enemies are throwing around will not hit you. Just as this man was leaving, a woman who had a baby in her arms came to this old man, Old Banzar, and asked him, please, what news do you have? Tell me, so that I can reassure my husband. My husband is sick. He's down with fever from his terrible wounds, right? Tell me, I hope they are not going to get in. I hope that the enemies are not going to capture us. And Old Banzar told this woman, be of good heart. The walls of Babylon will protect you and your babe. Because the walls of Babylon are high and they are strong. So go and tell your husband that there is not going to be any attack against the people of Babylon, right? Go back and tell him that the gates of Babylon are strong and they are able to withstand the attack of the enemy. As this woman was leaving, a young girl came to this old man, Old Banzar, and said, tell me, please, soldier, are we safe? I hear the awful noises. I see that all the men are bleeding. I am so frightened. What will become of our family, of my mother, my little brother, and the baby? And Old Banzar told this girl, just as he told the other two, he said, be not afraid, little one. The walls of Babylon will protect you and your mother and your little brother and baby. It was for the safety of such as you that the good queen Semiramis built them over 100 years ago. Never have they been broken through. So go back and tell your mother and little brother and the baby that the walls of Babylon will protect them and they have no need to fear, right? So day after day, Old Banzar stood there and watched as the battle went on. It became so fierce. People were dying. There was bloodshed. and it was terrible. It was indeed terrible. And this went on for like 3 weeks and 5 days of violent attack against Babylon. The enemy really wanted to conquer Babylon. You know that Babylon is a very rich city. If they should succeed, the riches of Babylon would be gone. They were going to loot everything. The treasures of the people and of the city itself would be gone, right? And it was very thoughtful of the queen, let me see her name again, Semiramis, to have thought of this beforehand, to say Babylon is a rich city. Just like the title of the thumbnail of this video, you cannot afford to be without protection. This is the whole essence of this chapter 7 of the richest man in Babylon. It is about protection. It is about insurance, right? So the battle went on for 3 weeks and 5 days. It was really fierce. And it was on the 5th night of the 4th week that the battle ended. The war subsided and everybody had peace of mind. The people once again had peace. They had their calm and quiet, and they could go back to their businesses in Babylon, right? And this came with a mighty shout, scream of joy, of victory. The people were so happy. So the walls of Babylon had once again repulsed a mighty and vicious foe, determined to loot her rich treasures and to ravish and enslave her citizens, right? It was good that the queen was thinking ahead to have built such a strong wall around Babylon that will protect the treasures of Babylon and protect its citizens. So Babylon endured century after century because it was fully protected. It could not afford to be otherwise. It could not afford to be without protection. Such a rich city with prosperous people could not afford to have weak walls that could easily be broken down by the enemies. The walls of Babylon were an outstanding example of man's need and desire for protection. This desire is inherent in the human race. It is just as strong today as it ever was, but we have developed broader and better plans to accomplish the same purpose, right? So these days we may not be necessarily talking about physical walls, but to that your assets, your house, your finances. Do you have enough protection? That new car that you bought, is it insured? The last time I was in the US, I was told of the story of a man who newly bought a car, as in a brand new car. And in the same week that he bought this car, he had a terrible accident. It was during winter and the roads were covered in snow and they became slippery at some point. So he skidded off the road, hit the culvert. The car was badly damaged. In fact, it was damaged beyond repair. Like no repair could fix that car, maybe, as I was told. And the only thing that saved him was that he had insurance. Even at that, the insurance could not cover everything, but it was still some form of succor that you would still get something, right? So you cannot afford to be without protection. You cannot be amassing wealth, buying assets, yet they are not insured. What measures do you put in place to make sure that your money is not going to be gone before your very eyes? To make sure that your money is not stolen? To make sure that you do not put your money into investment or any business that has no protection? This is the whole essence of this chapter. The walls of Babylon. You cannot afford to be without adequate protection. Not just protection, adequate protection. So in your journey to wealth, make sure that you're also thinking of protection, so that your money is not going to go with you, or your money is not even going to go in your lifetime. Your money is going to endure. You're going to leave it for your children, your children's children, and many generations after you. So as you're thinking of riches, acquiring riches, be thinking of protection as well. This is the whole essence of this chapter, and I've come to the end of this chapter. It is such short one. Yeah, tongue twister right there. Okay, so that is it. Any questions? I didn't see comments. Is it that you're enjoying it so much, or you did not understand what I was saying since? Because I didn't really, well, or did I see? No, I was only saying greetings. Anyways, we've come to the end of chapter 7 of The Richest Man in Babylon. If you still do not have this book, please go and get a copy, right? Don't forget to like this video. Please share all of your comments with me in the comment section below. And please subscribe to this channel in case you are yet to subscribe. I remain Olaide Agbaje, also known as First Lady. And on this channel, I inspire you to live intentionally. Tomorrow, which is titled The Camel Trader of Babylon. See, I've read this book before, and this chapter is another interesting one. The story there is relatable. It is the story of a man who was wallowing in debt to the point that he had to run away from the city, but somehow